Charles Barkley is completely wrong, and I'm going to say that on national television. It's something that I've told him to his face. I'm friends with both of them. And I've spoken to both of them about this over the years, and MJ more recently than Charles Barkley. I haven't spoken to Barkley about this for years, but I'm siding with what Kenny Smith said to Charles Barkley years ago, and you can ask Kenny Smith this as well. Barkley should have called Jordan. That's really what this comes down to. And one of the things that I'm not going to let anybody lie on Charles Barkley, and I'm not going to let anybody lie on Michael Jordan, because I know them a little bit. Michael Jordan is not how Charles Barkley just described him. Michael Jordan doesn't give a damn what you say. If you have a relationship with him and you tell him to his face and you have a conversation with him about it, Michael Jordan doesn't sit up there and say, well, you know what, you can't. He doesn't try to tell anybody what to say or how to say it. In other words, if you have a personal relationship with him, he shouldn't find out what the hell you have to say on national television. That was his big issue with Charles Barkley, number one. Number two, Charles Barkley wasn't just talking about Michael Jordan. When he used the word kiss asses on the radio show in Chicago, you're not just talking about Michael Jordan, you're talking about some of his friends. And did they deserve that? That's the thing about it. And so, number three, if you have a personal relationship and you have an insight to the greatest player we've ever seen, the GOAT and what have you, you might handle things differently. And if you're going to handle it differently, call him, which Charles Barkley said to my face he ain't doing, and Michael Jordan knows. Charles Barkley would never do that. But let's understand that Michael Jordan was about, yo, we have a relationship here. I find out on television to the extent of how you felt and what you were willing to say. Not only did I feel it was out of pocket, but then it gets taken to another level when you're talking not just about me, but people I've befriended, people I've employed, et cetera, et cetera. I have to deal with that. And then last but not least, if I'm your boy, where's the call? Even after you said what you had to say, where's the call? Why this bravado where I'm not going to even call you? I'm on the airwaves all the time saying things. Charles Barkley ain't the only one that does what he does. And damn it, I'm going to brag for a second. He ain't the only one that does this at an elite level, okay? The bottom line is we've been number one for years on this show, okay? We're doing something right. And so we have to understand something here. When you're talking about people, I'm not going to hesitate to call somebody. If I've talked about them, I'm going to make sure that I talk to them. And if I have a personal relationship with them, I'm going to do everything that I can to talk to them first, to give them the heads up, not to manipulate what I'm going to say, to inform them of what the hell I'm going to say, and to also hear their response before I open my mouth. Personal relationships definitely warrant that. And I don't believe that Charles Barkley handled that correctly in this particular situation. Love Barkley like a brother, good man, good brother, incredibly honest and what have you. But this particular situation, myself, Kenny Smith, and many, many others believe that he could have handled it better than what he did. And I promise you, knowing Jordan the way that I do, having butted head with Michael Jordan, especially when he drafted Kwame Brown, let me be very, very clear. It wasn't fun what I had to say to him about that. But we argued about it, and then Michael Jordan like, do you? Do what you got to do. We talked about it. There's nothing wrong that could have prevented Barkley from doing that. That's how you handle situations like that when you have personal relationships.
Yeah, probably that's best to do it that way. But, like, you know, if you know you have a personal relationship with a guy on a baseball team who's hitting 200 with no power, and but your job is in the press and someone asks you who's the worst player on the team or the worst hitter on the team, you might have to call out your boy before you give him a call. So Barkley, yes, he handled it suboptimally maybe, given the relationship. But Michael Jordan, the ironic thing is he's the Michael Jordan of bad owners. He's been awful. And any evaluation, he's the greatest player of all time. You've heard me say this on the show a million times. He has been terrible. Like, what's the product been? In the end, the record speaks for itself. How would he feel playing for an owner like him who couldn't put a winning product on the floor? And he's had a lot of chances to do it. So, like, you're lying if you don't say he's bad at his GMing type of job as an owner. You're not telling the truth, and it's not even like it's some great affront to him because it's obvious, it's plain to see. Of course, that's true. So the two things, so you're right, given the personal relationship, as close as they were, Barkley should have probably, done a better job of smoothing that out first. But two things he said really struck me as it relates to this. One, as you get more powerful, you're surrounded by more yes men. It's important to have men around you or people around you who will say no, because no one's perfect. So, of course, their ego always wants to say, here, yes, you're the best, you're the best, you're the best. But if that's going on, there's something wrong. And two, that Barkley does not relish the part of his job where he has to criticize people, but that's his job for telling the truth. Stephen A., you often hear me, and I hear you say it too. I take no pleasure in this, right? But then you got to talk about James Harden's struggles in the playoffs or something like that. I don't like oh yeah, because on this show you like to troll people and that's how you know, or that's what a hot take is. No, I don't feel good saying that someone did a bad job. You hope people do a good job. So Barkley is once again here being honest. That's his job. That's why he's great at it. And furthermore, when you get to Jordan's level of power, you're surrounded by people who don't often say that to you. I understand your point about the relationship, and it's a good point. And that's why they should talk and work things out. But I definitely understand what Barkley's talking about.
Yeah, Max, I'm with you on that side. And Stephen A., I think you bring up valid points about the relationship aspect. But, we all know by doing this job and by speaking our truths, and also at the volume in which we have to do this, right? How many times we get confronted asking those questions. Now, I don't know about the whole kiss asses thing. I think that maybe take it to a next level, and I think that warrants a conversation. But, Max, to reiterate your point, overall record since Jordan's taken over the Hornets, it's like 287 and 418. It just is what it is. On top of bad draft picks,